Thank you so much for your time this evening. I most appreciate it. My name is Tina Coinsmith. I live in the Parkside development in Chapel Hill, and I speak on behalf of hundreds of local residents who oppose the relocation of the men's homeless shelter from its current location to Martin Luther King and Homestead Road. I would first like to begin by thanking the IFC for its good work. We do not oppose your work or suggest that you are not doing extraordinary things in our community. We oppose the location, and we oppose it for three key reasons. Number one, its proximity to the biggest park in Chapel Hill, which was not mentioned at all in any of the concept planning, residential neighborhoods, daycares, after-school programs, schools, and other fragile populations, which I'll talk about soon. The proposed site, secondly, incurs unintended consequences that decrease public safety in Chapel Hill. Finally, the proposed site creates an inequitable distribution of human services in Northwest Chapel Hill. What I'd like to do for the next 6.5 minutes is take each of these points and elaborate on it a little bit. Number one, the proximity to Homestead Park is problematic. Homestead Park is one of the largest and busiest parks in Chapel Hill. On any given day, you'll see hundreds of people, infancy through senior citizens. There are soccer fields, there are baseball parks, there's a skateboard park, the aquatic center, swim teams. Please walk over there. Hundreds of people every day using that park. The proposed site is in close proximity to schools and daycares. 2 daycares are within 1,000 feet of the proposed site, as well as 2 after-school programs. There's close proximity to at least a dozen residential neighborhoods. You can see them listed behind me. I don't need to go through them. There is close proximity to at-risk populations, including Freedom House, the Substance Abuse Center, Home Start Women's and Children's Shelter, the Rainbow Heights Public Housing Neighborhood. And I'd like to note that my neighbors from Rainbow Heights are here this evening. They, too, are opposed to the shelter, and they're concerned about what their children will face with an additional challenge of the homeless shelter so near them. They are at ground zero. Let's look at that graphically. You can see behind me, the center of this circle is the proposed site. The first site shows a quarter-mile radius out. You can see the park, you can see the daycares. Go to the next page, Mark, you'll see a half a mile out. Half a mile is an easy walk. Look at the number of places used by children, by families. Look at the human services already in that corner of town. Got it. So why is proximity an issue? What I've done a good job of showing you is that this site is next to the park. Yay me. Proximity is an issue because there is a direct correlation between homelessness and criminal activity, substance abuse, and mental illness. From the Orange County 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness, 30% of homeless individuals in North Carolina come from the criminal system. 23% of the homeless population in Orange County are severely mentally ill. 37% have chronic substance abuse issues. There are currently 2 registered sex offenders living at the current homeless shelter on Rosemary Street. From the Chapel Hill Police Department, this year alone, 39 police reports were filed for issues at the current shelter. 25 arrests were related to the shelter. Late breaking news, not in the presentation, 230 individuals who give their address as the current shelter or the streets in downtown Chapel Hill were charged with 320 different criminal counts. That's from the Chapel Hill Police. From the concept plan that we reviewed tonight, the IFC itself stipulates this population faces challenges, including chronic mental health, substance abuse, health issues. It is at best unfair and at worst dangerous to place this population in such close proximity to parks, to daycares, to residential neighborhoods. Our second point, we oppose the shelter because of the unintended consequences. The homeless men who are denied entrance to the shelter will take shelter in Homestead Park. The emergency beds, floor space, the free clinic draw a homeless population to the northwest corner of Chapel Hill and create safety hazards for that area. The Home Start Women and Children's Shelter will be less secure with the homeless shelter on the corner. There's currently no plan for the homeless women who accompany the homeless men. I work on Franklin Street. There are homeless women who accompany the homeless men. There's no plan for them and where they will be. They will be in the park. According to the Chapel Hill Police Department, there are currently no plans whatsoever to increase police presence in the park or in the neighborhood surrounding it. Right now, you see bikes and foot patrols on Franklin Street. There's no plan for that. Moving the shelter to the proposed location hurts populations the town is already trying to help, like our neighbors at Rainbow Heights. They face extraordinary challenges as they're trying to put their families together and do good things for their kids. They are very worried about what happens with a shelter so close by. Neither the IFC nor the town of Chapel Hill are taking responsibility for these unintended consequences. In fact, in a local direct quote from Chris Moran in the IFC at the Chapel Hill News, what happens to the homeless men who don't buy into these restrictions, the want to crash, even if that means a mattress on the floor? That's a good question, he said, and the way I answer that is, how will the county respond to that? There's no plan right now. Neither the town nor the IFC will take responsibility. Finally, we don't want to create an inequitable distribution of human services in Northwest Chapel Hill. We don't want to institutionalize that area of town. We currently have Freedom House, Home Start, the Robert and Pearl Seymour Center, and much of the federally funded public housing. I want to be as clear as I can be. This is not a NIMBY issue. We already have lots of public services in our backyard. We find these folks to be good citizens and good neighbors. However, we do not want an inequitable distribution. We do not want to institutionalize Northwest Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill has done a great job of equitably distributing its social services, and the placement of this shelter will not do that. Thank you for your time. We all want the same thing, peaceful, happy community, and I encourage you, when it's time to vote against the relocation of the shelter to the proposed location.
Okay, thank you. All right, Sherman Rigsby, and then Pat.